It's time to get moving. If you have the red band, go ahead and grab one, and if not, simply use a hand towel or a dish towel from your house. We're going to take that into a stretch across the hands so that we have open arms and step into a wide second position. So that's in a turned out position with your knees and toes turning out and your inner thighs spiraling forward. Straight away, we're going to lower into a plie. So that means we soften the knees and then the torso follows, but it stays upright. So we don't want to tip forward for a squat. And we're just keeping everything straight up and down. We're going to exhale as we soften the knees, the inner thighs come forward. Hold real quick just to glance at your knees, making sure they're in front of the crease of the ankle and aligned with your big toe, second toe. Let's hold this plie down, and we're going to take that band or the towel up and overhead. If that's not comfortable for your shoulders, you can always soften the elbows. We just want to make sure the shoulder blades are down the spine. We're going to start with some side bends to the left. So we're going to open the right side of the ribs, keep length on the left waistline, and then we center it back, and we'll go over to the right. The head follows with the spine, the pelvis stays quiet, and check in with your body that you're simply bending to the side and not going for rotation yet. We'll add that in just 1 second. Keeping lots of length. It's not about how far you bend, it's about keeping length through all the moves and keeping the pelvis organized. Last time to the right, and we're going to add the flexion through the left. So what we're going to do is we're going to flex to the side on the left, nod the chin, keep your pelvis quiet as we round forward, sweeping through the middle. That's an exhale. And then we're going to inhale, come up and overhead again to the left, arcing to the side on an inhale. Exhale as you round the spine. Inhale up and over. I'm getting little cricks and cracks already. Hope that feels good to your body as well. Really using our breath to help open up the spine, add flexibility. Let's go to the right now. So we're melting the shoulder blades down, tipping to the right, nodding the chin, exhaling as we roll through center, inhaling as we come up. Again, exhale to the right, rolling through the center. Inhale as we float up. Last time, keeping the pelvis quiet, recommit to that neutral pelvis. Sweep through the center. And come up and overhead. Gorgeous. From here, we're going to go into a 4-point kneel. If you have your towel, set it aside. If you have the red band, keep it with you. We're going to come onto our knees, and that red band goes just below the shoulder blades. It's going to help us find our postural muscles and our breath. Once it's there, it's 1 stretches in each hand, and we come into that 4-point kneel position. So we have our knees under our hips. We have our hands directly under our shoulders. Flip the toes under. And if you have the red band, think about breathing your ribs wide into the band on an inhale as we hover the knees off of the mat about ankle height. Holding here, if you have that red band, really use that focus to send the breath outbound rather than up into the shoulders or down into the belly. Go ahead and softly set those kneecaps down. We're going to recommit to that neutral pelvis, length through the crown of the head, float the knees up again. We're breathing wide into that band. You can glance down at your pelvis, make sure that it's in neutral. Think about lifting away from the floor, broadening the collarbones. It looks easy. Does it feel easy? Anyone? No? I don't think it's easy either. And let's go ahead and set the knees down. Last time. Collarbones wide. Lift away from the mat, lengthen the tailbone from the crown of the head, and hover the knees up and off the mat about ankle height. We're going to hold here. Last 5, last 4, last 3, breathe wide into that band, last 2, and with intention, gently set those kneecaps down. All right, we're gonna come onto our knees, and if you have that red band, it goes under both of your knees. That's gonna be your anchor point, about 4 inches apart. We're gonna take this band into our left hand only, and reach it up and overhead. It's behind my head so it doesn't get into the face. Take the right arm sliding down the right leg, and the palm faces forward. This is important to keep the shoulder and the elbow organized. I'm gonna wrap my band so it doesn't slide. From here, melt the left shoulder blade down the spine, get the elbow in line with the ear, and we're gonna elongate, inhaling to extend, exhaling as we soften that elbow. Now what's important here is to really focus on that length. So as we extend the arm up, that's elongating the biceps, and as we soften that elbow, that's elongating the triceps. Inhaling as we raise up and exhaling as we fold back to start. We're holding that side bend to increase the effort through the core as we strengthen and tone the back line of the body. Last 3, melt the shoulder blade down. Last 2. We're gonna do some single leg reaches next. And extend that left arm up. With control, bring it all the way down. Okay, if we've got the band, we're gonna wrap it around our ribs again. If not, we're just gonna use our arms free floating. If you have it, I'm crossing it in front of my rib basket, so it's crossed over once. And now we have that band giving us feedback through our postural line and for our breath. Come all the way down onto your back. From here, we're gonna float the legs up into a tabletop position. So the knees are hovered directly over the hip sockets, about 4 inches apart. And on our next inhale, let's go ahead and extend that right leg long, left leg stays quiet. And then we're gonna bring it back to start. And that left leg reaches long. And now we bring it back in. So it's an inhale. As we extend the leg, exhale, bring it back. Inhale, left leg. Exhale, bring it back. So like Michelle's showing us, if you want additional challenge, you can continue with the head lifted off of the mat, or you can keep it down as you're working. Alternating sides. We're thinking about pulling on that really tight pair of jeans, right? Straight out of the dryer as we bring the leg long on the inhale. Exhale, bring it in. If you have that red band, we're using it there not only for engagement through the arms, but also through the breath, sending it wide. Let's do 2 more on the right side. So we're back at the right, reaching long. Exhale to absorb. Last time on the right. Last time on the left. And with control, bring the legs back to start. We're gonna come onto our knees again. And that red band goes under the knees. And it's gonna go into our right hand this time. So I like to give it a little wrap around once so it doesn't slide away from me. Comes behind the body. And we're going to arc to the left. Really check that elbow is in line with your head and the palm faces forward. Melt that right shoulder blade down the back body to recruit the back line of the muscles. And on the inhale, we're gonna extend the arm. Exhale as we soften. So as the arm elongates, look at those bicep muscles. They're really stretching out. It's an eccentric move. And then as we exhale, the triceps are elongating. We want to make sure we're not gripping with our seat to hold us upright. We want the navel drawing up and in between those shoulder blades. And you can see that I've fanned open the right side of the rib basket, but still maintaining length on the left. Last 3. Think about sending breath all the way through the back line of the body. Last 2. And with control, go ahead and rise up. All right, we're gonna go into our external rotation lunge on the left. So let's step to the top of our mat, and we're gonna have our feet in parallel position. Then swivel the inner thighs forward and the feet will follow into first position. Heels are touching, toes are turned out. If you have the red band, it goes under the arch of the left foot. And we're gonna do a front raise with that red band. So again, I like to loop the hands around so it doesn't get away from me. Let's take a big step back with the right foot, Keep the torso upright. And we're gonna exhale as both knees soften in external rotation. Bring the arms into a front raise. And then we're gonna inhale as we float it up. Now we wanna make sure we don't drop our seat below our knee and that our knee is aligned with big toe, second toe. Torso stays upright. Inhaling, we're lifting through the waistline. Exhaling as we lower down. So you can see that Hetty's just lifting her arms up, and that's getting great cardio effort. Stopping just about shoulder height, keeping that knee in line with big toe, second toe, and the sternum over the pubic bone. Hips are both shining straight forward, gorgeous, and the inner thigh spirals to the sky as you lower down. You can see that Michelle is using the red band, and this gives additional resistance through the arms. And both legs are in turnout, so even that back leg is spiraling forward as that front leg spirals there. Hold this next one down. It's easy for me to say, right? I'm not doing it. Hold this next one down, and let's do a little carousel horse. So we're gonna lower and raise via the left hip. So we're just gonna raise down and up 1 to 2 inches. It's a small range of movement, but it shouldn't feel like a bounce down and up. It's really intentional, like a lever is moving through the pelvis to raise and lower you. How's that feeling, girls? Amazing, right? Good. I'll just stand here all day. Last 3, you guys, we're almost there. Last 2. And inhale, gather all the way up. Beautiful. If you have that red band, we're going to take just a quick second to tie it around our thighs. Now you want to make sure you get some good tension on there, and you're going to tie it just like a shoelace or just like a bow, yeah? So you want to bring your legs together, give it some good tension because it's going to provide resistance for our next sequence of exercises. If you don't have the red band, don't worry about it. We'll just do it without the bow, yeah? Now we're like a present, ready to work. Okay, so come into a squat position. Your feet are about 4 inches apart parallel. And straight away, we're going to hinge at the hips and lower into our squat. Take one glance at your knees, make sure they're aligned big toe, second toe, and all 10 toes are shining straight forward. On our next inhale, we're gonna rise up, legs fully extend, kneecaps absorbed in the quadriceps. Exhale as we lower down, melt the shoulders down the spine. Inhale as we raise up, making sure we don't drop the booty below the knees. Exhale as we crease at the hips, the sits bones broaden. Inhale as we narrow, lifting off the pelvis. Exhale, arms slide down the back. Inhale, kneecaps absorb into quadriceps. Let's hold the next one low. Recommit to that length in the spine. Think about your tailbone reaching down and back. Do you guys feel that? So it's not a going down to the floor. It's like a reach through the spine. All right, from here, we're gonna peel the right heel about 2 inches off the floor. And we're on the ball of the foot. And now without changing anything, let the left heel hold and join it. So the left heel is also up. And now we're gonna do that same lower and raising, but now it's via both femur heads as we lower and raise down. Are all 10 toes at the party, my friends? They laughed, maybe not. Slide the shoulder blades down the spine, draw the navel up and in. It's just a small range of movement, maybe an inch or 2 down and up. Sits bones broaden on the way down, narrow on the way up. Last 4. Last 3. Last 2. Hold it low with intention. Left heel melts to the floor. With intention, right heel melts to the floor. Inhale, rise all the way up. Good news, keep that band. We're gonna go into a plank. So Hetty's gonna show us the plank on her forearms and her knees. So if the plank on your hands feels aggressive, this is a great way to get the same focus of effort with a little bit of a modification. Michelle and I are gonna be on our hands and our toes, and we're starting about 4 inches apart with our feet parallel. So Hetty's already working, yeah? Okay, from here, guys, take that right foot, and we're just gonna graze it over the floor and tap right off of the mat. Bring it back to start. And now the left, graze it to the side. So at your own pace, we're just gonna kind of step to the side of the mat and step to the side of the mat. Navels are drawn up and in, collarbones are wide. And you can feel that band giving you the feedback through the lateral line and then the opposite waistline as we're working. Do you guys feel that connection, that diagonal sling happening? Think about lifting away from the floor, collarbones are wide. Let's do one more on the right. And one more on the left. And bring the knees all the way down. Whew, okay, that was no messing around. Let's lay on our right side. I like to have my ear right on top of the bicep, and it just helps to keep the neck in line while we're doing side lying work. Straight away, we're gonna bring our knees into a 90-degree bend. So that means the knees are directly off of the hips. And check with your pelvis. The temptation is gonna be to roll right under. We wanna make sure we're in a nice long spine and a neutral pelvis. Reach the top hip long, and from here, flex both feet. So we're really reaching the heels away from our knees. From there, we're gonna crease at the outer line of this left hip. Nothing else is invited to change. So we're gonna float that leg open, but notice I'm still in parallel. I didn't swivel yet. We'll do that next. And then we're gonna bring it back down. Inhaling to crease at the hip. Exhaling to set it back down. Really flex, flex, flex through those feet. That helps to connect to the back line of the body. And then we're creasing at the left side of the hip. And that helps to find the lateral line, the outer line, the glute med of the body as we work. Check in with your right waistline. Is it imprinting onto the floor? It's okay if it's touching, but we don't want to relax into the right ribs. You can think about inflating the right ribs with air. You can think about the top left hip reaching away from your shoulder, and that's all going to help you to stay organized. Let's bring the knee down, And we're simply going to slide the toes back in line with our tailbone. So now we're more at a 45-degree angle versus a 90-degree angle. Toes float up off the mat, but they stay touching. And now we're going to go into some clamming. So we're going to swivel that left inner thigh forward. You feel the resistance of that band. And then we're going to narrow. So this movement does not come from the kneecap. It comes from the femur head, the thigh bone, and it is swiveling through. The inner thigh shines forward, and then the inner thigh shines back as we narrow. Who's found their glute med? Me. How about you? That's that diagonal line that, is kind of on fire right now, and that's okay. So we're imprinting the bottom leg onto the mat with intention. The waistline is long on all sides. Inner thigh spirals forward. Let's hold this next one open because we can. Little tiny opening. Little tiny opening. So whenever I ask for a pulse kind of a movement, we never want to see a bounce, 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 or open, open, open. You want to think about, with intention, really opening that femur a little bit more, rotating through the hip a little bit more. With intention, we're peeling open. Big toes are still together. Last 4. Last 3. We're going to do some abdominal curls next. Last 2. And with intention, allow the legs to close. Keep the band if you have it. And we're going to roll straight onto our back. So roll right over. You can have your hands behind your head to help support the weight of your neck and your head, or you can keep them long at your sides. From here, we're going to float both legs up into a tabletop position. And this time our big toes touch, but our heels don't touch. So our big toes are touching and our knees are going to open into a diamond shape. They should be about as wide as your shoulders. And straight away, you'll feel the low belly, deep abdominals, pelvic floor engage with those inner and outer thighs. Yes? Not just me. Okay, excellent. Melt the shoulder blades down the spine. If you want the arms up, if they're not supporting your head, float them to the sky. Arms are straight up to the sky. We're going to exhale to prepare. And on the inhale, nod the chin, peel the head and shoulders up off the mat, and arms come parallel to the floor. From here, we're going to exhale, as we bring it back down to start. The back of the head taps the mat. And inhale, here we go. Picking up the head, arms come all the way to the floor, but the pelvis is not invited to change. Exhale as we lower down. Inhale, peel the head, neck, and shoulders up. Arms come long. Exhale as we bring it back down to start. I don't know about you, but my knees are really starting to tip in. They do not want to greet that band. The inner thighs are really wanting to fold in. Exhale as you lower back down. So really think about those inner thighs spiraling towards your face. Inhale as we rise up. Hold this next one. Head, neck, and shoulders are off of the mat if possible. Keeping the big toes touching, we're not going to change the angle of the knees or the ankles. We are simply going to change the angle of the hips as we lower the legs down. And we're going to tap the feet on the floor if that's accessible to you. Only do the range of movement that works for you. And then we're going to inhale as we bring it back up. Exhale as we lower down. Really check that pelvis has not changed. So as we lower and raise the legs, the pelvis is not invited to move. And we're going to get deep psoas focus, inner thigh, outer thigh, and pelvic floor. 3 more here. Exhale as we lower down. Inhale as we float it back up. Exhale as we lower down. This is last 2. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale, last one. With control, bring it all the way back to start. With control, return your head, neck, and shoulders down to the mat and release the legs. All right, let's go ahead and get into that clamming on the other side. So I'm going to flip over on the mat. Left side is now down on the floor. Left ear is on the left biceps, and we're starting with clamming. So the toes are in line with the tailbone. Pelvis is neutral. And we have a long waistline all sides. Float the toes up off the floor. The bottom thigh is imprinting on the ground. And then we're going to swivel that top inner thigh forward, the right leg. And then we narrow with control to close. Swivel open, inner thigh spirals forward. And exhale as we swivel to close. The bottom leg is active. It's not just hanging out. It's imprinting into the floor and helping to stabilize the pelvis with the core and deep abdominals. Right inner thigh spirals forward, spine is long. Breathe into the bottom waistline. Don't let it collapse onto the ground. We're going to do 2 more and then go into that small range of movement at the top. Go ahead and hold it open. And now we're going to peel it open a tiny bit more. spiral a tiny bit more. Think about the muscle fibers of the inner thigh literally spiraling back. And that is what is opening the leg a tiny bit more. You'll really get into that glute med there, which improves hip functionality. Oh, and it looks amazing. It's a win for everybody. Last 3. Last 2, we're gonna do the lateral raise next. Last 1, so stay on your side. Bring the knees forward directly off of your hips. So they're in a 90-degree bend like you're sitting in an imaginary chair. Recommit to that neutral waistline, or that neutral pelvis rather, and flex the feet. From here, on the inhale, we're gonna float the leg up, creasing at the outer hip, and bring it down. So the temptation is to really open into an external rotation, especially when we just did that with clamming. So you have to connect to your mind and control the leg and its range of movement. So we only open as far as we can, keeping the pelvis quiet and keeping the leg in parallel. So now do you really feel that outer hip starting to heat up, you guys? Seriously, flex the feet. That's helping us define the back line. Recommit to length through the waistline. The higher up you keep that right leg, the more challenge. So if you don't let it go all the way back down to touch, you're gonna get a lot more intense challenge through that outer hip. We're gonna do 2 more, and then we untie that freaking red band, yes? Last 1, and release. Okay, if you have that red band, go ahead and untie it. It should come straight up untied. And then we're gonna stand up, going into our external rotation lunge on the other side. So we're coming to the top of our mat. Bring your red band if you have it. We're coming into our Pilates first position. That's our heels touching, toes softly turned out. And the red band is going to go under the arch of the right foot. Reconnect those heels, and we're going to take a natural step back with our left foot. A big one, but a natural step back. And we're going to bend both knees as we row with the arms. So we're going to exhale. Check in with your knees, make sure they're both in external rotation, sternum is over the pubic bone, and on our next inhale, we're gonna rise all the way back to standing, right knee absorbs into quadriceps. Exhaling as we lower down, torso stays upright. Inhaling as we narrow through the pelvis to float back up to start. So you can loop those bands around. Both Michelle and I are starting to lose that red band. So loop it around your hands if you feel it starting to slide. Might be a little bit schwitzy, we are. Just a little. Elbows go out to the side, shoulder blades melt down the spine. Instead of thinking about pushing through your right heel, I'd like you to think about lifting via the waistline. So really think about the pelvis lifting off the legs, the waistline lifting off the pelvis. Hold the next one down. We're gonna do that carousel horse situation on this side as well. So torso stays upright, and we're gonna move from the lever of that right femur head, slowly raising and lowering. Whew, as if we didn't have enough heat building up in that outer hip already. Last 4, sternum is right over the pubic bone, try not to lean back. Last 2, and rise all the way up with intention. If you have that band, go ahead and ditch it, and we're gonna go straight into a bridge on our left forearm. So we're all gonna show you a slightly different variation of this exercise. We're all gonna be on the left forearm. Michelle's gonna have her feet stacked. Hetty's gonna have her bottom leg down, and I'm gonna have my left foot in front of my right. Now we're all gonna lengthen up and out into our best diagonal line. So we're going into a bridge here, palm is flat on the mat. You can bring the arm up for increased cardio effort. And we're gonna do a little isometric challenge. So wrap your head around it, enjoy the hold. We're gonna breathe, lifting away from the elbow, melting the shoulder blade down. Why is it harder just to hold still? Think about that left inner thigh reaching long, long, long. Now think about that right inner thigh reaching long, long, long. That helps access the waistline. Bring the right arm up if you're up for the challenge for the last 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, smile it out, last 2, and with control, bring it all down. Now we're gonna go into our long bridge. Hetty's gonna show it down on her forearms, and Michelle and I are gonna be up on our hands. Either your elbows or your hands come directly under the shoulders. We're sitting on our bottom, and swivel your feet into first position. Heels are touching, toes are turned out. With as long of a spine as you can manage and really lift off of those shoulder joints, we're gonna lengthen up into your best diagonal line. On the exhale, crease at the front of the hips and tap the tailbone down onto the mat. Arms stay long. Inhale as you lengthen the toes from the crown of the head. Exhale, crease at the front of the hips, maintaining your long line. And inhale as you bring it back up. Collarbones stay wide. Really resist the temptations to hang down into those shoulders. We're gonna do 3 more and then we're gonna do some leg raises. Inhaling as we elongate. Think about length versus lift. Last 2. Hold the next one up. Holding at the top of your range of movement, think about the right inner thigh having a little puppet string on it, and we're gonna float it up just 3 to 4 inches and bring it back down. Hetty's my dancer. She thinks 3 to 4 inches means to touch her nose. So we're gonna bring it a little bit lower. Inner thigh spirals up. Last 2, so I'm sorry, I missed my count because I'm making jokes. And bring your right foot down, left side. We'll do an extra one, don't worry, bring it down. Float that left inner thigh up. So we're doing just the left leg. Last 3. Last 2. Last 1. With control, hinge at the hips and bring it all the way to start. All right, let's get that bridge handled on the other side. So we have our right forearm down. You choose knee, feet stacked, or right foot in front of left. We're gonna lengthen all the way up into our best diagonal line. So we wanna make sure that the head is in line with the spine. If that feels aggressive to your neck, you can even rotate your gaze to the floor and that might take some tension out of your neck for you. Lengthen the top hip away from the shoulders. Make sure everything's stacked and you're not rolling back or dipping. You can take that left arm up if you're looking for additional cardiovascular challenge. Breathe. Smile. We're almost there already, guys. Lengthen the heels from the crown of the head. Narrow your corset. Lift away from that left elbow for 5, 4, 3, 2, and with control, bring it all the way down. We're gonna go into our hamstring scissors next. So flip onto your back. We're gonna float both legs up to the sky, but it's important that you don't insist on the legs being completely straight or directly over the hips. If it causes your low back to press into the floor, that's too far. Send your feet away from you till you can find neutral. For an advanced variation, you can take your hands interlaced behind your skull and pick up your head. We're gonna keep the legs as straight as you can, and we're gonna send the right leg long down towards the floor. And then we're going to switch, and the left leg goes long. You can also add support behind the thigh and work like this. It also gives me a little bit more of a stretch because I'm gently drawing that femur head in and bringing the leg a tiny touch closer than I could if I didn't have my hands behind the leg. I'm shaking like crazy. I hope I'm not the only one. Excellent. Beautiful job. Just a few more here. Bring the left leg up and now the right. We're gonna do a plank to pike next with some knee taps. Last 4, 4, stay with me, neutral pelvis, 3, last 3, 2, 2, last one on the right, last one on the left. With control, fold both knees in, head goes down, and let's flip it over. Last thing before we stretch, guys, going into our plank to pike with some knee taps. Hetty's gonna be down on her forearms. Michelle and I are gonna be our hands and our toes. From here, we're gonna go straight into a pike position. You might think of it more as a downward facing dog from yoga. We're gonna lengthen into the plank. And as we do, the right knee taps the mat in the plank position, but the pelvis doesn't change. And then we're gonna inhale, bring it back to that pike. Now it's the left knee. As we shift forward, left knee taps. And now we go back into that pike. 2 straight legs, and now we shift forward, right leg down, lengthening up, 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 and back. And now the left knee taps down in that plank. Inhaling to lengthen as we roach back. Exhaling forward, right leg taps down. Inhaling back. You can always just keep the legs long. That starts to feel aggressive to you. Last 4, reach it up and back. Last 3, reach it up and back. Last 2, this is the last time for the right leg. Bring it up and back. Last 1. Let's hold the plank for good measure at the end. 2 straight legs. 8, 7, 6, 5, lift away from the wrists. For 3, 2, and with control, both knees come down. That sets us up for the last stretch. We're gonna go into a cat-cow in our 4-point kneel. So our knees are directly under the hips, hands are directly under the shoulders. We're gonna nod the chin first as we round the upper back like an angry Halloween cat, curling as we round. And then on the inhale, we gaze forward, opening the heart, arcing through the low back with length. Exhale, nod the chin as you round. Inhale as we elongate and arc. Exhaling as we round. Inhaling, lengthen from the tailbone through the crown of the head. Bring it back to neutral. And congratulate yourself on an awesome job. We'll see you next time, guys.